Okay, before we look at page 233, we're going to check yesterday's work. First, take a look at page 232 and check the independent practice that you did. You can stop the video whenever you need to check your answers. Here's part 2. It doesn't want to fit. There we go. And then the last part, I just wrote a couple sample sentences. You just had to have 2 sentences describing a thunderstorm and using adjectives. Okay, and then the worksheet that you did, go ahead and stop the video to check your answers. Part 1. Part 2, and part 3. Okay, I hope you did well on those. Now we'll go on to page 233, special adjectives. So again, let's take a look at the definitions for each of these at the top of the page. The words a, an, and the are special adjectives called articles. We use a with singular nouns and adjectives that begin with a consonant sound, and an with singular nouns and adjectives that begin with a vowel sound, and the with any singular or plural nouns. So we have a whirling tornado, an uncontrollable tornado. Could be uncomfortable too. A column of air, an air column, the storms, the air pocket. So a, an, and the are called articles. And then the demonstratives, remember, are pronouns used as adjectives. They point out the position of objects, persons, or places. This, that, these, and those are demonstratives. So if you look over here at the box, the singular demonstrative adjectives are this and that. We use this when something is near. We use that when something is far. And then the plural demonstrative adjectives are these and those. These is near, and those is used with something that's far. This heavy wind is blowing these shirts. Those birds are flying away quickly. And then the last part of the special adjectives was the proper adjective. And remember, it's formed from a proper noun, and we always capitalize proper adjectives. A Canadian meteorologist watches for tornadoes. So Canadian is a proper adjective because it's formed from the proper noun Canada. Now let's take a look at diagramming. In a diagram, all adjectives, including the special adjectives such as articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, all the ones that we just talked about, are placed on slanted lines below the noun or pronoun that they describe. Okay, so take a look at our sample sentence here. The Spanish boy saw that whirling tornado. Okay, so if you have the subject that has an adjective, then it goes on a slanted line below the subject. If there's a direct object that has an adjective describing it, it goes on a slanted line below the direct object. So the boy, Spanish boy. Those are 2 adjectives describing the subject boy. So we have boy as the subject, the and Spanish describe boy. Saw is the verb, boy saw, and that's an action verb, so we look for a direct object. Boy saw tornado. So tornado is the direct object. Then we see that and whirling are describing tornado. So we diagram those on a slanted line underneath the word tornado. All right, let's take a look at the guided practice. they want us to underline all the adjectives, including articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, and draw an arrow from each adjective to the noun that it describes. Okay, so let's look at sentence number 1. American cold air often comes from Canada. Okay, so we look and see what nouns we have in that sentence. And we have air, it's also the subject. And so we look to see if there's anything describing the air. Remember the adjective questions, what kind, how many. So what kind of air is it? It's American air, and it's cold air. So American is describing air, and cold is describing air. All right, we also have Canada as a noun, but there's nothing describing that, so we don't have any adjectives there. Okay, let's look at number 2. Those wild thunderstorms can form these destructive tornadoes. Okay, so again, let's look for nouns. We see the word thunderstorms, and that happens to be the subject of our sentence. What is our sentence about? It's about thunderstorms. Is there anything describing thunderstorms? Okay, you're right. Those thunderstorms and wild thunderstorms. So we're going to underline those and draw arrows to the word that they describe. Now we look around for any more nouns, and we see the word tornadoes. That's a thing, that's a noun. So what's describing tornadoes? Right. These tornadoes, which is a demonstrative, and destructive tornadoes. So we draw arrows from those to the word tornadoes. Okay, so you need to look for nouns and then look for words that are describing them, including articles a, an, or the. All right, number 3 says label the sentence pattern SV, SVDO, or SLVPA, and then diagram the sentence. Okay, so the funnel cloud looked dusty. All right, what is the sentence about? It's about a cloud, right? So that's the subject. What did the cloud do? Okay, the cloud looked. But you have to think in this sentence, does a cloud have eyes? Can it actually look? No. So it's not an action verb, it's linking. It's one of those sometimes linking verbs. So looked is linking in this sentence. And the cloud looked what? The cloud looked dusty. So remember, we can have a predicate adjective or a predicate noun that follows a linking verb, but we're talking about adjectives now, so they're just giving us the predicate adjective option. So we have clouds as the subject, looked as the linking verb, dusty as the predicate adjective. So now we look to see if we have any adjectives. Is there anything describing the cloud? We have 2 words left. So you're right. Those are our 2 adjectives, the cloud and funnel cloud. So we underline those and draw an arrow to cloud. Okay, now we're ready to diagram the sentence. So we draw the vertical line down the middle. The subject goes on the left. So we're going to put cloud on the left-hand side. The verb goes on the right. We'll put looked on the right. Excuse me. And then we have a predicate adjective, dusty. So we have to draw a slanted line and write dusty after that. And then we have to diagram the 2 adjectives. We have the 2 words describing cloud. So the first word is the, and if it's capitalized in the sentence, we should capitalize it on the diagram. And then funnel. Okay, so when you go back and you read it all together, it should make sense. The funnel cloud looked dusty. All right, good job. Excuse me. Okay, so you're going to continue and do more of the same on page 234. For the first part, you're going to underline all the adjectives, including articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, and then draw an arrow from each adjective to the noun that it describes. And then the second part, you're going to label the sentence pattern, SV for subject verb, SVDO for subject verb direct object, or SLVPA for subject linking verb predicate adjective, and then diagram the sentence. And then the last part, apply and write. Write 1 or 2 sentences describing the loudest storm you have ever heard or seen. Use articles, demonstratives, and other adjectives. All right, and then take a look at the worksheet, special adjectives. For the first part, you're going to underline the adjectives, including articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, and then draw an arrow to the noun that each adjective describes. And then the second part says to read the paragraph and underline all the adjectives, including articles, demonstratives, and proper adjectives, then write each adjective under the correct heading. So I'm going to do the first couple of these with you, just to kind of get you started. So in the first sentence, it says, apples are a delicious snack. Okay, so what adjectives do you see in that? Okay, you should have identified a and delicious as adjectives in that sentence. So we underline a and we underline delicious. Now we have to figure out where they fit. Do they fit under the adjective category, proper adjective, articles, or demonstratives? So anything that's not a proper adjective, article, or demonstrative is just going to go over here in the adjective category. So A would fit where? Right, it would fit under articles, and then delicious isn't a proper adjective, an article, or a demonstrative, so it just goes here under the adjectives heading. Okay, now let's do one more. This fruit comes in many varieties. So we look at that sentence and we should see a couple more adjectives. Do you see them? Okay, good. This and many. So this is what type of adjective? Yeah, you're right. It's a demonstrative. So it goes under that heading. And then many isn't a proper adjective, and it's not an article, and it's not a demonstrative, so it just goes over here in the adjective category. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand. So you're looking for enough adjectives to fill up all of the lines. And it's okay if you're writing the same adjective more than once. That's going to happen particularly over in this column. Give you a little hint there, okay? So if you see the same one more than once, you just have to write it as many times as you find it in the paragraph. All right, thanks for working hard, watching the videos, and we'll see you next time.